Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be starting off with a Gumpaste Rose tutorial, which has been really requested. Also, I do want to mention that this is going to be a new series in my channel, so I'm going to be showing you all how to make different Gumpaste flowers. So if you have any requests for flowers that you would like to see, make sure to leave them in the comment box down below. Make sure to like this video and also hit the little subscribe button and hit the little bell icon next to it so you can receive notifications of when I post new content. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. We're going to start off with some gum paste, our wire, which is 22 gauge wire, and we're going to be bending a little loop onto the end of the wire with some flat pliers. So there you can see that little loop. It's not too big. It's what's going to help the gum paste have something to adhere to. So I'm taking my floral tape. Always make sure to stretch your floral tape because it's what's going to activate the glue on the tape. And then I wrapped it all around the wire. As you can see, that little loop that we created in the wire earlier is what created some surface area for the gum paste to hold on to. And what I have in that little white ramekin is egg whites. I use egg whites to attach the gum paste to the wire, and I also use it for the petals itself. Egg whites dry a little faster than water, so they're quicker and it's not as messy. And then I'm just forming the cone shape, which is your base shape for your rose. So you can just keep pinching and rolling in between your hands until you get the shape that you want. You're going to set that aside on a styrofoam block, and then I already have another one here that I had made previously, so you have to let it dry for 24 hours in order for it to harden up, or else if you don't let it dry, it can fall off of the wire and it's just harder to work with. So just let it dry 24 hours and you'll be fine. And then here I'm grabbing my gum paste that I had previously colored already. I'm using Satin Ice gum paste, which is great. It's really stretchy, it's pliable, and it's just really easy to work with. And in case you're wondering, since you can't see it very well here, the color is a pinky peachy color, very light. And in this shot, I was actually showing you how to measure your cutter. So for that size of cone, I needed that size cutter because it was almost the same size as a petal from that cutter. And then I'm showing you some of the other tools. The white one was a cell board, which I'm using the back of it to roll out gum paste. The blue one helps to keep your petals safe and covered so that they're not going to get dried out. The green thing I was showing you is a piece of craft foam. And it just has some slits cut into the center, so I'll show you what I use that for in a bit. And then the yellow one is a foam board, which is where you're going to stretch out your petals. This piece right here is a Dresden tool. This is the side that I'm going to be using the most. And then here's the ball tool. I'm just starting out by rolling out my gum paste. Some of the clips in this video are fast forwarded. It's just because this video actually took an hour to film. So I had an hour-long video to edit, and it was just gonna be too much for you all to sit through me like rolling out gum paste for half an hour. It's just easier this way. And there I'm showing you the thickness. So you don't want it to be too thick, but you don't want it to be too thin where you're gonna want to stretch it out and it rips. Then I'm just cutting it out. And also make sure that you keep the gum paste that you're not using covered. So there I'm setting the little petals on that blue board that I had mentioned earlier, so you can see that it just covers it, and make sure that it doesn't dry out while you're working on another piece of gum paste. So always keep your gum paste covered so that it won't dry out, or else it's just going to be a waste of gum paste. So just keep that in mind. And I'm just going to roll out another piece of gum paste and cut it again. So I'm working with 2 pieces at a time, just because I don't want to cut all of them out and then just kind of leave them there. And even though they're covered, they can start to get a little brittle and they're harder to work with. Here I'm using some cornstarch to take the stickiness off. So if you feel that your gum paste is getting kind of sticky when you're rolling it out or when you're working with it, just make sure to dust it with some cornstarch and you'll be completely fine. So here I'm using the ball tool to just kind of stretch it out mostly. Also, when I'm stretching this out, you'll notice that I don't really leave the tops of it rounded as they started. I try to flatten out the tops. So you'll see that throughout the whole video. When I stretch out the petals, they're usually kind of flat at the top. So they're not completely flat, but they're not completely rounded. The reason why I do that is because it gives you a better spiral in the center of your rose. And then here I'm using a Dresden tool. This is what's gonna ruffle the edges of your petals more. It gives it more life, and you can see there, I'm not putting too much pressure, but if your petals rip when you do this, don't stress out, don't try to fix it. Like, it's not that big of a deal, because in reality flowers already have rips. They're not completely perfect, so it just gives it more of a realistic look. I'm using that craft foam piece that I showed you in the beginning. Those little slits that I had cut out in that craft foam are what I put the wire through. The reason I use this craft foam piece is because sometimes when you handle gum paste a lot, it gets warm, it starts getting sticky, and is just stressful to work with. So this keeps it off of your skin. So the gum paste is easier to work with because it won't get sticky. In the first petal, you're going to put egg white all over it. This petal is going to go completely around the whole base. You're just going to cover that base. It's the very center, and it helps cover the gum paste underneath. Because sometimes when I make my bases, I make them out of different pieces that are just my random colored gum paste that I have left over. So this just covers it completely. And then you skip a petal and the next petal is the one that you're going to start off with. You're going to be putting egg white all the way up on the left and then about halfway up the rest of the petal, and then wrap it around and leave a little door open. One side of the petal is going to be completely stuck to that base. The other side is going to be a little flap that you leave open. You're going to skip a petal and do the same thing on that side, and then you're just going to grab that little flap and stick it into the little door that you left open. You can also use your Dresden tool to help you tuck in petals farther into the little crack. So there, I'm leaving another little door open. Every time you stick another petal in, you have to leave another door open so that you can stick the other one in there. This is what gives it a natural look, and also that's what skipping a petal does. It gives the flower a more natural look. Here I'm just tucking in the next petal. I think this is the only clip that I left at its normal speed, just so you could see the normal pace. And honestly, I can't completely tell you how to do every single step because seeing it is easier to understand than me trying to explain everything that I'm doing. This is the first layer finished, and I'm leaving that little flap open again. So at the end of each set of petals, I leave a flap open so I can tuck the next set in. You could probably leave this, close that little flap, and leave this as a little bud, but we're just going to continue on. I'm just going to repeat the whole process again, by rolling out the gum paste, cutting it, shaping it, stretching it, using the Justin tool to do the little frills at the end. I'm just going to let you watch this whole section without me interrupting because you can see the process of what I'm doing and it's harder to explain. The reason why I wanted to explain the first set of petals is because it's one of the most tricky. Since it is the first row, it can get kind of confusing. But I think these are mostly self-explanatory. Please let me know in the comments if you guys like the way that this video is set up with recording and then narration over the video, or if you would like me to walk you through all the steps while I'm recording the video. When you're putting together all the layers, make sure that you're arranging the petals, giving them some movement. You can also do this at the end, but it's easier to do it as you go along. And if you want a more open flower, make sure that you're opening the petals as you go. Don't stick them on completely. That's why we're only putting egg white mostly up one side of the petal and then partially on the rest of the petal, so we can achieve this look. Also remember to hang the rose upside down so that it can keep its shape. Here I wanted to show you how one of the petals came detached from the rest of the set. If this happens to you, don't freak out, just put it back where it needs to be and it'll be fine. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!